It was born into an unquiet. Whatever it was born into an unquiet. It decided to stay with the loud noise. It nudged into a globe, fusing to what it was. It became passionate, going round and round, embroiling with the stars and embracing the rendered earth, stopping everything in its path. It touched the stars for talk.
Tony, the last time I was here and we were chatting, you talked to me about your experience of having a poem in print. Now, I know you don't really put much store on that particular poem, but the fact that it was the first poem that you had in print and the sort of effect that it had on you interested me. I wonder if you could say something about that experience.
It was a life-changing experience in a way because I was a 20-year-old confused, like lots of 20-year-olds, buggered up sort of person. And suddenly had this epiphany walking across Pearson Park in Hull. And this poem formed in my head. And I went home and wrote it down. And it changed my life. I thought, this is what I'm going to do. And I hadn't even read much poetry before that, or read much at all, to be honest. And it kind of changed my life. And it was published in a college magazine in Hull. And within 3 years, Larkin was publishing me an encounter.
So, was it the writing of the poem that changed your life, or getting it into print that changed
No, it wasn't getting it into print necessarily. It was the actual writing of it, which gave me a purpose, an outlet, well, a sense of purpose, really.
The reason why I'm asking that question specifically is because Jules and I were talking earlier about poets today are increasingly career poets. They see being a poet as being a career, whereas we were sort of talking about you in terms of someone who had a calling.
Yes,
And it seems to me that that the point you've made that writing the poem was an epiphany rather than getting it in print. It was
exactly,
actually yeah, that's
exactly.
what I
Yeah,
was.
I had no notion of what it was even like to be in print.
Yes.
It's just that somebody I showed it to liked it and published it in a magazine, and then the next 3 years were sort of apprenticeship years. Then I caught up on all the reading and discovered Dylan Thomas and Ted Hughes and people like that.
But was it during this period that you met Tony Flame?
I met Tony. Yeah, that's right. Well, it was 1970 when I wrote that first poem, and I met Flynn in 1972
Yeah.
during the sitting at Hull University. And when we were both hanging around the more pugnacious end of the far left, and we were both rather embarrassed to find that we both wrote poetry because it was seen in those days as something rather effeminate, especially if you came from a working class background. Anyway, we arranged to meet in the Hayworth one lunchtime, and it was really embarrassing. We were so polite, and we both had reputations, and we both knew that. And we were ever so nice to each other.
It's probably the last time you were nice to each other.
We've been ever so nice to each other ever since. And so yes, and then lots of bedlam ensued. Drinking and vituperative drinking bouts, that sort of thing. But and then we met Ian Gregson in 1974 when Ian Gregson came fresh up from Oxford, and he seemed to us then the Oxford seat. And he was less interested in these bruising drinking bouts than that we widen our horizons. So we started attending Douglas Dunn's poetry workshops at the university.
So the apprenticeship then that you're talking about didn't just involve an engagement with established writers, as you might say. It was also a matter of being engaged with people, with your own peers, who were
Oh,
trying to find a way at the same time.
absolutely, yes. And In fact, I felt quite intimidated by Douglas Dunn because he was Faberized, is the way I put it, and obviously palpably more knowledgeable. And he was also an Anglophobe, as far as I remember. He saw me as a southern middle class Englishman, which I wasn't, of course. But yes, we became very friendly. And not only did we go to his workshops, but we'd have these out of workshop meetings in the Polar Bear and Roy McGregor Hastie's house, which I've been loaned for the summer.
Yeah.
And it all kind of sprung up from there. And what we didn't realise was that other people like Peter Didsbury, Sean O'Brien, and what's the femme fatale? Margot Juby, yeah. We're all doing the same thing at the same time in the same part of town. Douglas Houston, who I never really got to know actually, he was the only one I didn't get to know. I met Frank Redpath, but who since died, of course. But I got to know them all in the end, and then we were all to meet up in Blood Axe.
Yeah, and then of course Douglas Dunn edited A Roman City. But could you say something about the poem that appeared in Encounter and read it for us?
Okay. Yeah. Well, what I did was I decided I got my first typewriter when I met my first wife. I'd never even had a typewriter before. And I sent 5 poems to Larkin at the university. Obviously, he didn't send it to his home. And he sent them to Anthony Thwaite, who was then editor of Encounter. And he accepted this poem and subsequently 3 more. So this is the poem that really got me on the road, as it were. The Pursuer. In youth, I am on a green hill. I am the snowcap of the Black Valley. Beat, beat, speaks the brain. I can't see you, yet I love you. In the sun, I am vague as mountain mist. I am speaking to the fusible air. Beat, beat, speaks the brain. I can't hear that you love me. In temper, I am the cold black night. I am the voice of the lungless life. Beat, beat, speaks the brain. I don't know that you love me. In danger, I am the spineless mountain. I am my pursuer and breaker. Beat, beat, speaks the brain. I know you don't love me. In love, I am refreshed at a white lake. I am cool, soft, snowfall. Speak, speak, says the heart. I know you love me.
What year was this time?
I wrote it in 1973 and it was published in 1974.
I'm interested in your whole, in your idea and your sense of vocation. I noticed in a number of your earlier poems you've got the conspicuous figure of Faustus in it. So I was wondering if your sense of vocation, was, as it were, twofold. That you were excited by the idea of being a poet, but that figure of Faustus also implies that you regard it as a kind of a curse as well.
That's a very interesting question.
Yes, that the whole difficulty of being a poet is in that.
You know, when Yeats said the poetry is the story of a soul, I became fascinated with the idea of soul and the fact that Faust sold his soul to the devil was very interesting. Yes, yeah. I did feel cursed as well as blessed, if you like. I think that's a very good point. Yeah.